You are listening to the Beyond the High Road podcast with Shelby Milford, episode number 120. Stay tuned. Welcome to Beyond the High Road, a podcast dedicated to healing your heart and life following the grief of alienation. I'm your host, Shelby Milford, a twice certified life coach specializing in post-traumatic growth. If you're experiencing the effects of alienation and you're ready to heal, then this show is my love letter to you. Stay tuned. Hey guys, what's happening? Do you like my little orchids? If those of you who do appreciate plants, I have a recommendation for you. So I got this Phalaenopsis orchid here at Lowe's, I think, it was like in the 50 or 75% off area, there was no blooms on it. It was kind of beat up, pretty beat up. And it already had some of this pothos in here, right? If you see like the whole thing, I've repotted it since and done a bunch of stuff. But what I did, if you're an orchid or even any kind of plant person, go get that, I forget what it's called, crazy Kiki paste or whatever. It's on Amazon. I should probably put the link down below, but just look up Kiki paste. It's Keiki paste. If you know anything about orchids, you know that this is crazy because it just doesn't happen. So there's one spike, which is where all the flowers come off of, right? But I put the Kiki paste on and 3 extra spikes came off that one existing spike, which never happens. And then there's another spike coming up over on the other side, and that one's getting ready to bloom. It's crazy stuff. If you got an orchid at home and it's getting ready to die, like people go buy this at the grocery store all the time as gifts or whatever, and most people don't know what to do with them, so they just throw their orchids out. Don't do that. Go snip the spike that's like already flowered out before it gets to be like brown. Snip it just above the second node, put the crazy Kiki paste on, and you will see that you will get new spikes, new flowers out of it. I put the paste on probably 2 months ago. Yeah, probably 2 months ago. And now look, took a while for the flowers to come out, but that's just because of the kind it is and whatever. But yeah, amazing. Just because it's some hormone paste. So anyway, that is way off the topic of parental alienation. However, I will say kind of and kind of not, in the way that things like gardening and, hobbies, for me, I really do like, for a while there, I was doing it with my animals, and I've talked about that before, but caretaking and turning something like a beat up project sort of fine into something beautiful and great. I did this too for a while with furniture. The thing behind me, that thing was like this mustard color and didn't look anything like that. It had like it looked country style. And anyway, you can do it with a lot of things. And I think it's just fun. It's a little bit of instant gratification, but it's all also therapeutic. Just a little reminder that it really does help, especially in the beginning, to work with your hands when you are anxious, even just down in the dumps about stuff, like to have a quick turnaround where you're producing something and making it go from, watching the transformation. Yeah, it does. For me anyway, it really helped give me a sense of accomplishment and confidence when that was scarce in my world. Now, of course, as you guys know, your thoughts are everything, but some activities, some supportive activities and hobbies are just amazing. Okay, now, today we're going to be doing something a little different. I am in the process of doing something else for you guys. I've got this project going, and it's going to be next week's podcast along with, you'll hear about it next week. So that's what's in the works for you at this moment, and I'm actually going to get back to it right now. But today, and I've been meaning to do this anyway, and I'm going to do some more of these periodically, I'm letting you guys listen to a coaching call, like yesterday's coaching call, actually, with a client of mine. In fact, she was one of my first clients way back when, before I even got certified for the second time. I had put a post on one of those Facebook groups, the PA Facebook groups, and she was one of the ones who responded to me so that I could get my first certification, right? And since we have kept in very close contact and speak, on a very regular basis, don't always coach with her. We've kept up together, right? But on occasion, we will get into a conversation where I actually do coach her, and that's exactly what happened yesterday. Though it was not like this aha, like shift transformational moment for her. It was more of a casual coaching conversation. I thought it would be something really helpful for you guys to listen to just see how you can apply different thinking if your current thinking is not working for you around anxiety that you're feeling, paranoia, even. That's exactly what we were talking about yesterday. I hit record about 5 minutes into the coaching portion of our conversation. Give you some backstory. This is after she and her boyfriend had recently gone to a Christmas tree burning. I guess it was a few weeks back. And she was certain that she was going to run into her ex, the alienating parent, and her son, who is now an adult. The conversation sort of goes through stages where we talk about, and we a little bit jumped around. I edited out some stuff that might make it confusing for y'all, but what she was really worried about was seeing him and what that was creating for her. So I'll jump back on with y'all and recap the main points on the backside of this. Also, I forgot to mention before I start the video, I'm just making you aware now, I've bleeped out some personal details like names of people in the video. So if you hear the weird noises, it wasn't anything outside. It was actually the beeps that I put in there. Just didn't want to confuse you, offset your focus, concentration while you're trying to listen. So I will see you guys in just 20 minutes.
Yes, so I get a lot of anxiety because I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to see my son, or I'm going to see my ex, and what's going to happen? What's going on? We're in a public place. I'm supposed to be enjoying myself. I'm supposed to be relaxed. I'm supposed to be laughing. But it's almost like I'm ducking, looking for.
Yeah, no, I get you.
For something, you know what I mean, to happen.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
It becomes very nerve-wracking and scary.
Right. Because you think you're going to see them. What would happen if you saw them? Like you're telling Darren, so you're clearly thinking that maybe something would happen where he would
provoke him to say something. So I had that thought that, that there was going to be like some yelling or screaming, and it's like, I can't have that, I can't have that.
Why? Not that it would ever happen, but just why? What's the story behind it?
Because I don't want people looking at me, and I don't want to get into that feeling of being placed on Facebook, like being that,
right.
Go back to being placed on Facebook and having people look at me, judge me, not know what's going on. Everybody contacting me and everybody's reaching out to me, and like they did.
And why would that be a problem?
Because I don't like to be the center of attention. But I don't like people to be negative.
Okay, the negative part. That's what it is. Because people could be calling and reaching out to you with support, and I don't think it would be so much of a problem, right? But it's it's the negative attention. You think they're judging me, and so what?
So I shouldn't care because people gossip and people...
Now, give me the unhelpful reason. If they're judging me, then what?
People are talking about me. They're making me feel like I'm worthless, like I'm...
There it is. Okay.
Not a good mom, and I am a good mom.
Okay. So you think if they're judging me, then they're thinking that I'm worthless. They're thinking I'm not a good mom. Okay. And then how do you feel when you think that thought?
Well, it's like I'm looking around thinking to myself, are they behind me? Are they following me? Are they gonna... I don't know. Like, I don't think my ex-husband would trip me or anything, but then again, I wouldn't put it past them to just... I don't do stupid, mean things. Like, I don't know. I just feel like I just felt really weird and awful. Like, I should have been enjoying myself a little bit more than peering around and looking.
Right. So then that's the secondary suffering that you're causing in the moment. Not you, your brain. You got this judgment on yourself that I should be having fun here, not dealing with this. So now you've got anxiety, and then you've got this other judgment that's causing you maybe a little shame. But putting the judgment aside for a second, I want to go back to the original urgency. Does it start when you guys pull in the parking lot, or does it start before you guys even get to the event, or does it start at the event?
It actually started like when we pulled in and parked.
Okay. And then,
I'm looking around and I'm looking to see if I see any vehicles that look like theirs. And, you know, it's almost like, I mean, I almost feel stupid. I almost feel stupid and like to myself because it's over. But in my head, it comes back.
yeah. Okay. So there's two things here. You've got this idea that like it shouldn't be happening this way. I shouldn't still be so riled up about it. And then you also have the anxiety itself.
Well, there's the anxiety and then the first thing that you said.
So let's deal with them one at a time. Okay. You pull into the parking lot and immediately you head on a swivel. You start looking around to see case in the place, right? To see if they're there. And the thought is they're going to start some shit, basically.
Yeah.
Right? All right. I just put that in my words, but would your words sound something like that? Tell me what you would say.
Oh, it does. They're going to start. They're going to start crap with me. They're going to start a bunch of shit. They're going to start saying something. They're going to start either following me, saying something, pointing, laughing. I mean, stupid high school child shit things.
Okay. You're like anticipating all the ways that they could publicly embarrass you or humiliate you, really is, I think, what you're worried about in that moment, right?
Yep. Like, are there people there that it's my own town? Of course, I'm going to know people that are there, but are people there that are against me? And
like
that's
spies for them.
that sounds crazy.
No, I know. That's what happens.
People there that are going to recognize me and say something to me, or or try to say, "Oh, I can't believe that happened. I'm so sorry," and go back to them and play this stupid game.
Right. So they're like they're agents in your minds. Yeah. Yeah.
The flying monkeys.
Yeah. Okay. So paranoid?
Yeah. A little bit.
Yeah, that's okay. It's okay. I mean, it 100% makes sense, especially after trauma. You're still holding on to some of that, right? And so your brain is doing what it always likes to do, is protect you. And so it's going to think of all the ways that you could possibly be humiliated or hurt in some way because of what you're already believing, right? That they're going to start some shit. If they're here, they're going to start some shit. So you feel paranoid, that you feel like they might follow you, point at you, send their flying monkeys. The other thing you were thinking about and doing is making sure that D doesn't
say anything or
instigate or add to it.
Yeah.
Were you social with other people, or did you just keep to yourself?
Yeah, we kind of kept to ourselves. We were kind of like walking around, and we did have the discussion. We're probably going to bump into a bunch of people that we know here. But in my head, yeah, we're probably going to bump into a bunch of people, but people that I kind of don't want to see, or maybe want to see. I don't know how they're going to react. That's the part that I kind of left.
Was it like, I better get my game face on?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I had my glasses on so that I could make sure that I could see far, just so I could see people coming.
Oh, yeah. Do you not normally wear your glasses?
No, not usually. Not usually, unless I'm driving.
Okay. And then what didn't you do? Like, what would you have been doing if you weren't feeling paranoid because you were thinking that they're going to start some shit?
I probably would have been relaxed a little bit more playful and funny. And
were you playful and funny at all?
No.
Not at all?
No. Well, a little, but I was more like going through the motions. It was more,
let's do this, let's do that. Was it rigid?
Yep. And I don't know, I should have been a little bit more loose.
I wonder, no, not that it matters. I mean, it's okay no matter how you were, but I wonder if you were to ask, what do you think I was acting like? I mean, he could feel open to tell you, I don't know, he might be like, you were acting great, honey. But like, if you would ask him what he would observe about you, if he would see anything different happening with you, than what you see. It's not important for now, but it would be interesting.
That's kind of interesting. I think I will ask.
Again, not because we're caring about, well, of course you care about and you want him to have a nice experience too, but it's the thoughts that he's thinking, but just for your own perspective, just to see like what's really happening as opposed to what our brains tell us is happening, most of the time.
Yeah. No, I get it. That's a good point.
So you know that the result of this, if you're thinking that they're going to start some shit, you know the result, right?
Yeah, I'm going to feel awful.
Well, okay, that too, but you're going to start some shit.
Yeah.
You,
I'm,
you huh?
I'm not going to get any sleep. I'm not going to,
Yeah, but even like your experience there, you're starting shit in your own mind. Like you literally lived it out, like how you were telling me before, how like you were thinking about throwing stuff at you, following you. You've gone through all the scenarios of what could happen if you see them there that they're going to do on you or around you. And then also even bystanders or people that know you somewhat, like being publicly shamed, humiliated, all the things you're thinking in your mind, you're playing all these scenes. So of course it would make sense that you would be super tense with it because you're like, we need to make sure that that shit does not happen. So you need to zip it up and I got to zip it up because in your brain, there's a war going to happen. Right. Because you're believing it in your mind and it's not your fault. This is your subconscious, that's doing it. But you can, because you know it, you can actually step in the driver's seat and actively manage your mind in those moments, not by being like, you shouldn't be like this. Kim, it's been so long. You shouldn't be like this. Why are we being miserable and we should be being fun? That was the other element that you added onto it. We could do that whole model. But like, if you're thinking that things should be different and that this is a place where I should be having fun right now, then you're going to create a whole resistance model on that. And you're going to ensure that you have zero fun whatsoever because now you've already directed your mind on what to do. It's like, no, Kim told us we're not going to have fun. We're not going to have fun, everybody, in the brain,
Yeah.
And so then you just make sure you find all the ways that you're not going to have fun and all the ways that like things should be different and you should be over this or it should be different. You shouldn't have to worry about this or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah.
So first model that we started on, the result is that you end up starting all that shit up in your head. You're setting off bombs left and right up in the brain.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was almost like I was like stealing something. It's like I'm looking around. I'm an adult. I should be relaxing a little bit, taking it all in, smiling, having a good time and not being tense, not being.
I just want to change that wording for you. Just by one word, really, just swapping one word. You said I'm an adult, whatever, and adults, actually, we could come up with a bunch of different reasons why being an adult, you shouldn't be happy and all the things. So none of these are really facts. These are all just thoughts, rules that you're placing on yourself. But instead of saying that I should be having fun, I should be relaxing, I should be whatever, I want to have fun. I want to relax, or I choose to have fun. I choose to relax. I choose to whatever. Because when you do that, then you're focusing on what you are choosing and not what you should be doing, but you're not.
Right. Right.
Like you're at the effect of when you're thinking, I should be there, but I'm not. You've already put the fence, the barrier in between you and the fun and you and the relaxing.
Right.
Instead, just like, no, I'm choosing the fun. And what is fun anyway? What is relaxing? Because it's all subjective, So you get to decide that.
Right. And putting focus on it instead of putting a barrier.
Yeah. 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 You're giving your mind something to do, something like fun to do. Oh, well, I don't know. What is fun? Because when you're just like naming it as like a concept, I should be having this, I should be having that. It's like this vagueness of nothingness, really, that you'd say you could put anything in there. I should be blah, blah, blah. And it wouldn't matter. But when you start to define what fun is, then your brain is like, oh, let's go find out ways to do that.
Right. That was interesting.
You've been through that. I know this has been like a recurring one for you.
Yeah.
For many, many of us.
Well, because every single time, right. Because it's like any restaurants, if I go into a restaurant, I always have that thought. And I could run away and not go to the restaurants that I believe that he'll be at.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not me. I try to face it. Mm-hmm. because I don't want to feel intimidated because that's what he wants to do.
Okay.
But,
now here's where go ahead. What was your but?
But again, I've had times that he's been there and that he's done the little, and
Yeah. And then what happens then for you?
I just either ignore it or I'll just go,
So it's not like a huge bother.
I try not to make it look like it is.
Yeah. But is it in your brain or is it not?
Inside my stomach, I'm like,
Yeah. A little bit nervous.
yeah,
But what I'm wondering, the reason I'm asking is because I think that the buildup is always more than when it actually happens. And when it happens, it's like, okay, it's uncomfortable. There's definitely discomfort. I feel like my stomach, I feel like I'm on a roller coaster right now and it just feels anxious and all the things, but that's just your nervousness, right? That's normal.
Yeah.
Maybe some stress response. But that's a great point that you just brought up here because really it's the stuff that your mind does if you're anticipating it. That stuff is the torture. Right? Like seeing him is almost like it's like the bursting the bubble. It lets the tension out.
yes.
Right? Once it's done, it's like, okay, it wasn't that bad. I mean, it wasn't pleasant, but whatever. It's
Right.
You're not going to die from it. But in the moments where you're like thinking that they're going to be there and what are they going to do? That's when you're allowing your brain to take over. And it starts getting really creative with all the things that could happen.
Right.
So again, through no fault of your own, but it is proof, basically, it's evidence to show that it's not that's actually doing it. It's your primitive brain.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's actually fantastic news because that just means that the one thing that you're missing, I don't think always, I think that you do incorporate this sometimes, but it's just to manage your mind in the moment before you start playing all the scenarios in your head.
Yes.
Or as you're doing it, be like, okay, those could happen, but what else could happen on the flip side? What's the other 50% of like the good side? What else could happen if I see him and if I don't see him? Besides the stories that I keep repeating to myself here, they're going to point and laugh. They're going to this, that. What good could happen? Or maybe not even good, but what could happen that would be the opposite of what I'm saying to myself right now that's causing me all this anxiety,
Yeah.
For right now, just give me some, just so that you can get the skill and understand, like what next time, let's say we are doing a repeat of the tree burning thing. Let's say you see them. Let's say you see one of them. You see what could happen other than, do you think that wouldn't start all the shit if he was by himself? He probably wouldn't, right? It would be if he was with other people or with.
He would do it by himself. He would
start shit by himself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep.
Really?
You kind of like put that fear into me and put that whole, like put me down.
Yeah. Put you in your place sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know why he's doing that, right?
Because he feels like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because he feels.
He's scared. So
Yeah.
He has, somebody taught him, probably his father, taught him when you're scared, you go bully. You go make somebody else feel that way, Yeah. So what else could happen?
It's interesting because, and this is only what I heard, and I heard through other people, that his father was a very nice guy. And his mother was a whack job, but
Oh, it could have been his mom that instilled it in him. It doesn't.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Happened, but
you don't have to be. By the way, you don't have to be a whack job. You could be a really nice person to also be have dysfunctional traits, if you will, like behaviors.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we all do. Nice, not nice. We're all, have our things. Especially when we haven't yet gone on the journey to I don't want to guarantee, but I can bet that his parents hadn't done any self-betterment.
Right.
So what else could happen? Okay, I'm sensing this, but I'm not sure. Just because he does the acts to intimidate or to put you in your place doesn't mean that you automatically need to feel intimidated or put in your place. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to fall in line with it. And I know that you know that, but sometimes I think that you give his actions or his intentions so much power. Like, just because he's doing that in order to intimidate you doesn't mean that you need to actually feel intimidated.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And I know that's overly simple. Like, of course, I mean,
It is, but I do recognize that, and sometimes I got to stop myself because I'm just like when he used to say, "You need to fix this. You need to,"
right.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
I had I taped him. I videoed him.
Mm-hmm.
Videoed him so that he knew, but I turned on my phone
Mm-hmm.
and recorded it.
Yeah.
I listened to that, and I listened to him yelling at me, saying, "You need to fix this. You need to do something. You need to fix the problem."
You need help. Yeah. Right. Right.
And I had asked him. I had said, "Well, what am I supposed to do?"
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Oh,
and I had said that at one point, and he's like, "I don't know. You just need to fix the problem." And he didn't seem to know. And I found that was kind of funny.
right. Now, do you understand it though?
Yeah, yeah, that you need to fix the problem. That was his answer.
Mm-hmm.
But when I said, "Well, how do I do that?"
He didn't know. He didn't have an answer. Right. 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 You're just fucked up. I don't know. You figure it out. Right. Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Right. Right. They can't pinpoint it because it's actually not you. It's really how they're feeling inside. But they expect you to fix that. If I'm feeling fucked up, it must be your fault.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of made me laugh.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. But also, like, the not so knowing parts of us will be like, well, maybe it is my fault. Maybe I do need not to figure out how to act better. Maybe I am causing their whatever it is, you know? So then that's like the not healed younger self part of us that's there, like, well, maybe it could be the shame part and all that, you know?
Yep, yep, yeah.
So
We,
that's good. So now you have, for next time, you know what to do in the case that you're making up all these stories about what might happen.
yeah,
Okay, so here's your 2-minute recap. If you remember in the beginning of our conversation, the recording there, 2 different pain points she was describing and going through. One of them was the anxiety that she was feeling, and you could hear the anxiety in her voice, just reliving it, right? Going back to that moment in time. She wasn't finishing sentences and what have you. We all have experienced that before, right? Being in that extended freeze mode. At least that's how I experienced it. So she has this anxiety around seeing him, and the story that she's telling herself in her mind is that he's going to publicly humiliate her. He's going to make her look like a fool. And then on top of that, she's telling herself that she's a fool for even thinking that. I don't remember if those were her words exactly. She should know better. It's already been over and done for years now. So why is she still in this place, right? But she's clearly feeling it. I mean, it's evident. We've all been there. So you can have some compassion for her reliving that. And so what we've talked about before in many other conversations is that it would be helpful for her to have the same compassion for her own self that she might have for somebody else, or that, like, I know that I have, and maybe y'all had, listening to her who's feeling traumatized just by the thought of seeing this guy who did actually terrorize her years ago, you know? So she's got the suffering from the worry about what's ahead. And then she's got the shamey voice on top of it, telling her that she's stupid for even having all these thoughts. So this is like a perfect example of what so many of us do on the every day, all the time, Reg. Not even just coming from trauma, coming from past abuse. But of course, having abuse in your past or any sort of trauma in your past from relationships, it's just definitely going to complicate things, make it a little bit more difficult for you to move through. But once you do learn how to coach yourself through it, like I'm teaching her how to do here, it's a skill you can take with you and use forever. So there's that. Then if you noticed too, once we started talking about the times that she has run into her ex-husband before at the sushi restaurant and what have you, she did understand, and she did determine that, or we determined that it's really not that big of a deal when he actually does show up somewhere and they are face to face or across the room from one another. It's just what we do in our mind, right? It's the anticipation of it. It's the worry about something. It's what we always do, right? With all the things, worrying about the bills to be paid or this, that, whatever. Worry is there for a reason and it's trying to protect you, right? It's trying to do you a solid. But there are times when if you do not manage your mind around it, it will run you and it'll run you the wrong way. So you have to be able to discern, like acknowledge, see it, call it out, and ask yourself in all the situations, is this useful for me? Right? Do I want to choose worry right now? Is it going to help me? So then I just cut it short because we went into more of a personal conversation to follow that. But yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed this. And I will see you next week. Don't forget, Friday, Facebook Live at 12:15 Eastern Standard Time in the private Facebook group. Okay? All righty, you guys. Bye.
Thanks so much for listening today. If you like what you're hearing and you'd like to hear more, please make sure to click subscribe wherever you're listening or watching. Also, for bite-sized clips and tips, be sure to find me on TikTok or Instagram. See you next week.